captain is to make sure he gets the best out of Andrew Flintoff all the time and allows him to be Andrew Flintoff, not be somebody else. So allowing people to be themselves, to express themselves, and for the team to play in a manner that's exciting brand of cricket. And yes, there are moments where a captain can win you the game through tactical nous. But there's a lot of things that go outside of that. Things like, one of the hardest things we all had is telling someone that you might know really well, your 12th man, we're leaving you out today. Now, a simple thing like that, I would like the captain to always do that, but be honest with the player. Flintoff all the time and allows him... honest with the player all the time. This is the reason I'm leaving you out, because I think your consistency, or whatever the reason might be, not the team balance, that's why you're out. That's an easy cop-out for me. I think the captain should always say, this is why you're left out. And that creates, they might not like what they hear, but it creates respect for the captain and a trust and an honesty for the captain from all the players, that they'll play for you because they trust you, you're honest with them, and they know that you've got their back. That no matter what, you've got their back. And I think that's really important to the captaincy, and that'll shine through from when you play the game. You can see the energy that the team has, and they're playing for the captain.
I might ask why people want to become captains. You very rarely see anybody turn down the leadership of their country when it's offered. I can't think of an instance in recent times when that has happened.
There's been a few reluctant ones, like an Alan Border.
Yes, an Alan Border, reluctant captain. But it's clearly, therefore, something that is coveted. People want to do it. But it would be a fair question to ask why. When you see the criticism, I mean, just take Azhar Ali, for example, in this week. Captaining Pakistan is a tough old gig. I think we're all aware of that. And the criticism that has come his way from losing a game that Pakistan ought to have won, from not being able to defend 277, the criticism, the stress, the pressure, the hassle, why do people want to do it?
Because it's all worth it. It's the best job in the world, being England cricket captain. It's the worst job in the world, as you know. I've seen you in press conferences, I've seen you resign that day in Antigua with tears in your eyes, as we all do in the end. But it is the best job in the world. I think Mike Brearley wrote in his book, the time it hit him was when he walked out afterwards, and the bloke on the tannoy doesn't say anymore, Nasser Hussain, England cricket captain, or Mike Brearley, England cricket captain. It's someone else. And the people in the stands, the Barmy Army, are not singing Nasser Hussain's Barmy Army. They've moved on to Michael Vaughan's Barmy Army. It is the best job in the world, being England cricket captain, as far as cricketing job goes. You know, the decisions you make, you're always remembered. Wherever I go now, it's not Nasser Hussain, ex-player. It's ex-England cricket captain, good or bad. And it is a fantastic job, and I would not swap it for any other job. If someone said you had your time again and you didn't have the captaincy, no way. Best thing ever to do.
And was there ever a stage in that 4-year period? I mean, I remember seeing you wandering a hotel somewhere in Sri Lanka, in Gaul. It was the combination of tricky results for a while and personal form, or a lack of personal form. You know, I saw you one night looking like death, really, and you know, we all try and arm around the shoulder, gather round, but there are times when you feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders as a captain. But was there a time when you thought, I just want to jack this in?
Then, yeah, absolutely. It does get on top of you, and you need good people, you need people you trust, all the stuff that Shane said. The flip side is that people want honest captains. But also at that stage of my captaincy career, I needed an honest appraisal from someone like you, who I've known from England schoolboy days. There'd be people that you go and see that would tell you what you wanted to hear because you're captain. There were people you want to go and see that will tell you the honest truth. You know, Nas, you're doing okay. Nas, you're not doing okay. And I knew you were one of those people. So you just need a bit of reassurance. You know, as an England captain, and this is the slight difference between being an England captain in our era and being maybe a Steve Waugh, Mark Taylor, whatever, because you have McGrath and Warne, and this is no excuse, you are winning a lot of games, and that's the 90% luck that Richie Benaud, if you're captain and you have McGrath one end and Warne the other, that's the 90% luck you are given. And you are therefore winning more games, and therefore you are under less pressure. If you're Azhar Ali, if you're Nasser Hussain, if you're Michael Atherton, just by definition of the side you're playing in and against, you're losing a lot of games. The English press, the English media get on your case. You get on your own case. Your family will be concerned about you. And it becomes a tough job, but you still know it's a great job, and you have to get through those periods.
Just to go back to those stats that you said at the start, Ath, I always believe it's like a cricketer. Once you finish your career and you're walking down the street, most people aren't going to say, Athers, we loved you as a cricketer because you averaged 42.35 and made 8,000 runs. They're not going to remember that. They're going to remember the way you played the game. So as a captain, I don't think the percentages are that important, the win-loss ratio. I think it's the way the team plays. Winning World Cups. England have won their first ever World Cup under Owen Morgan. So I don't know what his win-loss record is, but I know England one-day side are the best one-day side in the world because Morgan's got their players playing a great brand of cricket. And they all play for him. You can tell they play for him. They trust him. And it's the same with, I think, in Test match arena. You look at the team and you go, we're proud of that team. We love the way they play the game. Not how many tests they've won or lost or anything like that. I know the wins and losses go against your name as a captain, and that'll be there forever to say that they lost this many or won that many. But I still believe you want the public and everyone to be proud of the team and the way you play the game. It's the most important thing. And it's the same as an individual player. People don't remember your stats, but they remember the way you play the game. Did you change a game? Did you deliver when your team needed you? And I think that's the most important thing.
When I talked about the perhaps unique responsibility that a captain carries, and occasionally you feel as if the weight of the world is on your shoulders. I mean, we saw Steve Smith 2 years ago as a broken man, really, in that press conference when he broke down in tears. I mean, there were unique circumstances around that. But it did reflect to me upon the fact that an individual captaining the Australian cricket team is held up to be something, you know, that's quite unique and special.
Well, it reminds you that all of us are human. You know, we all criticise at times, we praise at times. You've got to take the good with the bad. But above all, we're all people. We all have feelings. We're all sensitive. We're all insecure at times. And when things are going great, we're confident. That's just the way we are as human beings. And Steve Smith's not a bad person. All these cricketers aren't bad people, but they all make mistakes. Everyone makes a mistake. Steve Smith made a terrible mistake and a judgment that was wrong, and he got nailed for it. And to see him get basically manhandled out of South Africa, boo, all those things, and then breaking down a press conference, he realised it all hit him about the mistakes he had made and the consequences.
It shows the pressure that a captain can be under.
Of course,
when it's said about you that you were the best captain Australia never had, in a way, you know, you don't quite know how you would have reacted under all that scrutiny. I mean,
I had a fair bit of it.
You had a fair bit of it as a player, clearly. But the captaincy on top of the playing is an extra responsibility, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's amplified at international level. I remember the brief times I did it doing one-day cricket, the selection meetings about not just this game but the games coming up. Teams, what do you want to do with the guys resting? Are they going back? Media concerts, sponsors events, all the extra things that are on top. So a captain is not just out on the field. There is different parts to the captaincy. There's a tactical side on the field when you cross the line. There's the best that you get in the dressing rooms to try and get the best out of players and what you say and communicate with the players. But then at 8 o'clock, at 9 o'clock at night, and you're sitting in your room, you've got to be like the roadside assist. You're 24/7 as a captain. One of the players might say, hey, Ath, can I come to your room? I want to have a chat. So you've got to be available all the time. So I understood that, and I always believed the captaincy for myself personally brought out the best in me. I thought it just made me a better person. It made me think clearer. I also think when you first start as a captain, you're never the best version of a captain because you're so used to just making sure you've had hit enough balls, caught enough balls, bowled enough, you're prepared for the game. But suddenly when you become captain, you've got to make sure Nas is okay, Ath, you going okay. And it takes you a bit of time to trust the people around you, like Nas said before, to make sure that everyone's okay and you just oversee it and still concentrate on your own game. Because when your own game suffers, that's when it can actually affect your captaincy too. Because you're not as confident and trusting your gut about, might just give Nas a bowl from that end. You know, so it's so many components in captaincy, and that's why it's so unique to any other sport, because normally you have the manager or the coach pulling the strings. But on cricket, when you cross that field, there's no walkie-talkies out there to say, hey, coach, what do you think? That's when you trust the players.
We'll come on to that in a minute. I just wanted to show a still, actually, of three well-regarded captains of the past. If we go and look at three figures here, Ian Chappell, who you know well, Warnie, great Australian captain, Tony Greig and Mike Brearley, England captains of the past, highly regarded. The interesting thing here is the difference in character type that they are. I mean, you'd say Chappell and Greig were the classic macho, lead from the front,
Alpha
inspirational figures,
Yep.
you know, whereas Brearley was an intellectual, a thinker. You know, if I look at you two, you couldn't have more different characters here.
I take that as a compliment, Bob.
Extrovert, introvert, social, antisocial, good lad. Does it matter what type of character you are to lead a team?
No, I think it comes out, your style. I think the team will play, it'll generally represent what you're like as a captain, whether it be like Nasser, they'll play with an edge. And I remember thinking back to when we played against Nasser as captain, I thought Nasser brought an edge to the England team that was missing. A bit of, you know, that determination of want of a better word.
Something else then,
Want of a better word. And I thought there was a never give up attitude. Although, yes, we won most of the time, there was still a period that wasn't easy. I mean, some of the score lines didn't actually reflect how close those series were, and we all played to them, and you know that. So, but I thought Nasser was a very good captain. I thought he got the best out of his players, and I thought they played a brand of cricket that resembled Nasser. And I think that's generally happens.
England captains of recent past have been quite different, haven't they? Strauss would be regarded as a kind of the uber organiser, I suppose. Michael Vaughan, a little bit more flair and attacking. I mean, did their teams reflect the characters that these captains were?
Absolutely. Strauss meticulous, him and Flower meticulous with their planning, the sort of Moneyball approach to their planning. What was Vaughan described as an iron fist in a velvet glove summed up his team pretty well. Vaughan, when you speak to him, is all away with the fairies at times and happy, but in a tough moment when we were all hiding behind our sofas in the 2005 Ashes, wishing England to get over that line, you had this cool, calm, however much underneath. He must have been, you know, killing himself under that immense pressure. He delivered, and more importantly, the team delivered. I think when Old Trafford, when they were celebrating their draw to an extent, Varney got him in a huddle and said, have a look at them lot. This is the first time we've seen Australia celebrate a draw. So there's a good sign to his team.
I think it was more relief. But...
but, you know, I think a captain does reflect its side. I think it takes different people to be captains. I think a captain has to be true to himself. It's what we liked about you. Mm-hmm. You, when you were captain, never tried to bluff, never tried to be someone else, never tried to be Alex Stewart, never tried to go out there and say one thing to us and then in the media try and big yourself up. Yeah. You know, on a good day, go out there and do the press. On the bad day, send the coach out.
No.
Players look at you.
Exactly.
Players, when you're having a quiet chat in the corner, even international cricketers in that dressing room now, when the coach and captain are talking and you've had an average day, I tell you your gut feeling, is he talking about me? So when you have those chats are important. Do you have it in front of players? Those meetings after a bad game, when do you have them? What you say. So we judge captains on those tactical bits of brilliance that I spoke about. Actually, the little words that you say, the little word that Owen Morgan says.
All the stuff that we don't see.
To Jofra Archer, all the stuff that comes out in the watch-alongs, what he says to Jofra Archer at the end of his run in a super over. When Joss Butler's going out the door the other day at Old Trafford, just be true to yourself, Joss. Jimmy Anderson, the day before the game, Joe Root goes on the social thing and says Jimmy Anderson is playing. Can't believe they're even considering it. Even if they were out there considering it, he backed him the day before, not on the morning. So Jimmy Anderson strolls in first morning yesterday feeling, I am still number one. And he delivered. So it's the small stuff that's just as important.
And you know what Nasser's talking about, you know as a player, you've got the trust of your captain. And it's really important that, and to know that the captain's got your back. And it's don't underestimate giving anyone a pat on the back and say, we need you today.
I think we've got Michael Holding in the third man's chair, hopefully. Mikey, are you there?
I'm here, Athers, yes.
I mean, you played under one of the great captains by reputation, Clive Lloyd, who also led one of the greatest teams that the game has seen. Some people may have said, and indeed maybe did say, you know, you could captain that team blindfold. Yet I'm sure there was more to Clive Lloyd's leadership of that great team.
Yes, and it goes back to what both Nasser and Warney have been saying about communication and man management and getting the team behind you. Clive Lloyd had a great team, yes, but Athers, I think you are a great historian of the game. You would know that the West Indies have produced a lot of great cricketers before Clive Lloyd, before Frank Worrell, And those two gentlemen got teams to play for them because of their character, their mannerism, their respect for people, their communication skills. It's not just about who should bowl when and from which end. I think both Warne and Nas have stressed that, and it is very important that that aspect of captaincy takes a highlight. It's not just about skills of the players, it's about what the captain does to make the team respect him and want to run through a wall for him.
I wondered if you felt that he was a little bit of a father figure for you in that team as a young man coming in. Are there any concrete examples that you could give of him, you know, getting the best out of you or having an impact upon your life?
That is something that a friend of mine said to me about a decade ago at us, about Lloyd being the father figure, which would have helped him. It certainly, when I reflect on it, I certainly can understand that helping him, because he said he was trying to compare Clive Lloyd with Viv Richards and saying that Clive Lloyd had an advantage over Viv, although Viv's record, wins percentage is greater than Clive's, but just the management of the team, he said because Clive was a father figure and Clive was looked upon as the elder statesman, he had an advantage. And Clive, yes, definitely had that advantage because Clive also had the strength of character to go to youngsters and to make them feel welcome. Not all captains do that. But Clive, being that sort of a person, would go to anyone that was new into the team and make them feel welcome. Because people used to say that we had a closed shop in that West Indies team. It was more difficult to get out than to get in. But whenever a new person was selected into the squad, Clive made sure that they felt welcomed. And if you as a youngster came into the team and did something wrong or did something extraordinary that was not seen usually within that squad, he would come to you personally and speak to you personally. He would never embarrass you in front of the rest of the team or in front of the rest of the squad and say, hey, this isn't acceptable here. He would find you out somewhere. If you were in the bus, he would come and sit with you at the back of the bus and have a quiet word. And that's the way that Clive Lloyd operated. And I think perhaps he got that a lot from Clyde Walcott, because Clyde Walcott was the first manager I had when I came to England in '76, and Clyde Walcott did that sort of thing. He was a little bit sarcastic at times and a little bit ironic comments at times, but he knew how to get to people. He knew how to get on the right side of people and for people to respect him, because he showed respect for everyone.
A final question, if I may. We've talked about perhaps the unique circumstances of leading Pakistan because of the pressure of a couple of 100 million cricket-mad people in that country, and Australia, where the cricket captain is seen as a man of great stature, and perhaps the press scrutiny that an England captain is put under. I suppose the unique aspect of captaining West Indies is the fact that you've got cricketers from different islands, different regions, different countries, all coming together under the banner, the only banner really that unites the Caribbean as a region, as cricketers. Is that overplayed, or is that a really difficult challenge for the captain of West Indies?
It's not overplayed at all, Athers. You know, I've been to Australia and I come here and you hear people talk about people from Essex or Warwickshire or Yorkshire and that sort of a thing. You go to Australia, you hear them talk about New South Wales and Victoria, but it's not like the Caribbean. People will come to blows over selection in the Caribbean. People talk about you're from Barbados or Trinidad or Jamaica or whatever. And before I played for the West Indies team, I heard a lot about that. You had Jamaicans who would come back to Jamaica after playing for the West Indies and give you stories about what was taking place within the West Indies team. Clive Lloyd took over that West Indies team, and I can tell you that Clive Lloyd did not care which island you were from. All he wanted was good cricketers. There were so many occasions when people thought that Clive Lloyd would pick somebody from Guyana over someone from somewhere else, and it never happened because Clive wasn't interested in the island politics. And all he wanted was good cricketers. And he got to the point, as you know from his results, that he had so much power that he pretty much got what he wanted. And that was another good strength of Clive Lloyd, picking the best cricketers irrespective of where they were from.
We saw a photo of Mike Brearley before, alongside Chappell and Gregg, who were fine Test cricketers. Brearley was a good first-class cricketer, but he struggled as a Test player. In today's game, Really was 30, 40 years ago now. In today's game, could a captain who is perhaps not worth his place in the side as a player survive in the modern game?
No way. It just could not happen. The pressure would just be insurmountable, really. I mean, you look, for example, with Butler, with the keeping and batting. One has to go, the other is then looked at. You look at Root as a player captain. Root, when he's getting runs, everyone has a go as his captaincy. Now he's won 6 on the row, everyone's having a look at his batting, and Root is a mighty fine player. So if Root's batting is getting under scrutiny, albeit
Assalamu alaikum everyone. If you like this video, please share and comment, and of course subscribe to.
But Mike Brearley's value, you know, Ian Botham, when we've worked with Beefy, the only person he stands up to in the commentary box and says morning sir and makes a cup of tea and coffee for is Breers. He has a huge respect, and Brearley had that, what degree in people or whatever. Brearley was a great man management, and that's a side of things that I actually find even more fascinating than all this, the man management of people, the man management of difficult people in particular, because in general, and this is a generalisation, your best players, your geniuses, Shane Warne, Ian Botham, Andrew Flintoff, Ben Stokes, Brian Lara, the list is long, there are exceptions, but in general they do things differently and they like doing things their way. And you as a captain are trying to get a team to do things for the team, and you have Peterson, Warne, Lara, Botham, Stokes who want to do it their way. And that for me is one of the hardest gigs as a captain.
Please
when
like,
the team
comment,
wants to do
share,
something,
and don't
but
forget
the
to
individual
subscribe.
who you know that can win you a game off their own back, you have to look after that one as well and give them a little bit of leeway. And I think that's what Brearley did brilliantly, perfectly with both of them.
We might come on to one or two examples of tricky characters in a short while. I wanted to just touch on the documentary The Test, which interested me because the man who seemed to be pulling the strings, and I accept that it's just a documentary and not necessarily reflecting absolutely what went on, but it seemed to be Justin Langer, the coach, that was really pulling the strings there. Whereas when I think of Australian cricket, more than probably any other country, the cult of the coach has been downplayed, and captains like Waugh and Ponting and Taylor and Border, they were the main men. Has it changed in Australia?
Well, yeah, I looked at that documentary as well. I was fascinated to see an insight to what goes on in the change room.
Hi everyone, if you like this video, please like and comment and do subscribe to the channel.
The dynamic between the coach and the captain is really important, and I think that's where the administrators have to work with a captain to pick the coach. I don't think they should just appoint a coach because it might not be the right fit for the captain if you're happy with your captain. So if he's in the side and he's your main man, the captain, which he should be, because he should make the decisions, the coach should help the squad and the team get prepared for the captain, in my opinion. And that's why you don't want an over-dominating coach. You want someone in the background that just prepares the players, gets them ready, but the captain trusts him and he sees him as a bit of a confidant that you can go to him and say, mate, what do you think? Come off at the end of a session, you might just bounce an idea off him. He might give you something. So you don't want two people that are big alpha males that want to be in charge, because I don't think that'll work. To me, it looks like Tim Paine has done a wonderful job on the outside for the Australian cricket team, where they were 2 years ago.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. If you like this video, please share and comment. And of course, subscribe to.
They had to earn trust back from the world cricketing public, not just the Australians. And I think he's done that in the last 2 years. I think the way they've conducted themselves, the way they've played, I think has been very good. But to me, Justin Langer looks like he's in charge, and that might work for Tim Paine, that Justin Langer off the field, he's in charge. But when we go on the field, I'm in charge. I think that's the dynamic there.
So let's talk
back to themselves, the way they're...
There are two aspects to captaincy. You've got the on-field stuff that we all see, strategy, tactics, leadership on the field, and then the stuff that we don't see off the field, man management, dealing with people, all that kind of thing. Let's just talk about on the field. If there's a young captain out there watching this chat now, what are the first principles that a captain should set to his team in terms of setting a field, setting how they want their team to go about playing?
I would say be true to yourself.
Please like,
especially
comment,
as a young
share,
captain.
and
You'll
don't
have a lot
forget
of
to
people with
subscribe.
loads of ideas. And, you know, your mates will be coming up with ideas, etc., and you'll take them because you want to be liked and you want to be popular. When they go wrong, it will be you under the microscope. So be true to yourself. so that when you make a decision, go on gut feel. I still think in captaincy, if you've played the game long enough, you'll have a gut feel, and this is what he would have been brilliant at. The amount of times he sits up there, or Straussy the other day, Strauss was on commentary, and something happened. One of the players played forward, West Indies players, and Strauss said, you ain't going to be getting another one of those, you're going to get next ball short.
Although he would be regarded as a captain who embraced the use of statistics, which has certainly come into the game and perhaps impacted upon that a little.
He showed still he has that gut feel. Now, what you've got to be careful of, if you have that gut feel and someone, the vice captain, comes and overrules, and you think, you know what, I wish I'd got, even your mistakes. If you go with your mistakes, toss at Brisbane, whatever.
Hi everyone, if you like this video, please like and comment and do subscribe to the channel.
That way. I wanted to do it that way. So you're judged on your good things and your bad things. Just have that gut feel. And if you're constantly asking, if you're constantly Tim Payne and having the coach and having the vice captain, you never develop those instincts.
But is that something you can learn then in the field? Or is it an instinct and you have it? Or can you get better at that? Can you read and learn the game and improve as you go along?
Yeah, first of all, I think that if you're a young captain out there, create an environment that's fun. Create an environment that everyone can express themselves, but they know who's in charge. And you're going to make the final decision. And then you've got to trust that. So you have to know yourself as well, and you have to trust yourself. But creating an environment that everyone's having a good time, they're looking forward to going to play. They're looking forward to go out and field, because all the best winning teams, you know where you spend most of your time? Out on the field. So you've got to spend it, make it fun, and you've got to have those guys in your side.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. If you like this video, please share and comment. And of course, subscribe to.
You can get better as a tactician, you can get better at off-field stuff, you can get better at different things. But I think some people are just better at leading than others. They just are. They're just naturally, people gravitate towards someone more than another person. That's just the way life is. So I think someone that's got a great natural leadership about them, I think they could get better at certain other parts of their life. I think someone that is made captain can get better at watching, learning, listening, talking to people, and then evolving into a better captain.
Well, you made the point about Alan Border right at the start of this chat, who was a reluctant captain, came under heavy criticism in his early days as a captain, but now is venerated and revered as one of the great Australian captains.
Yeah, he is. He was thrust upon him. He didn't want to be captain. He never aspired to be captain, but he was the best player in the side, the only one really
don't forget
that was guaranteed a spot. So they said, hey, mate, you're captain. And so to deal with everything he had to deal with at that time, end up bringing the best out in him. And I think all of us Australian players that came after him and got the opportunity to play under him learnt about how hard Test cricket is. Test cricket is not easy. I don't care how good you are. It is difficult. And you need to be tough. You have to be tough. And I think he showed us. So you think of the Taylors, the Wars, the Boones, the McDermotts, the Hughes, and then the late 80s, early 90s, myself, I came along, and then McGrath came along a bit later. So all of us had the opportunity to learn under Alan Border, and he became a fantastic and one of the best captains Australia had had, basically for his toughness, and he's inspired, as well as we're talking about the communication and man management and everything. As a captain, there are still times in the game where you can win it for the game, whether it be with a bat, with a ball.
Hi everyone, if you like this video, please like and comment and do subscribe to the channel.
And on the field with your actions.
Off the field, I suppose, to put it in a nutshell, the aim of a captain is to allow individuals to express themselves and be the best version of themselves that they can be, without impacting in a negative way on what the team has to do. I suppose that we could put it in a nutshell. You did a fascinating documentary series with Kevin Pietersen.
Yeah,
I'm going to ask you a difficult question. At the end of that, where did your sympathies lie? With the player or with those who had to captain him and lead him and organise the team?
You could have warned me you were going to have to throw Kevin under the bus.
So Ats was starting to smile when he asked the question.
My sympathy would have been with the people that had to manage and handle Kevin Pietersen, because I can bet Kevin was an incredibly tough person.
Assalamu alaikum everyone.
Changed,
if you like this video, please share and comment. And of course, subscribe to.
Pre-KP becoming the cricketer and the person that he became, perhaps it might have been easier for Michael Vaughan than perhaps Andrew Strauss later on.
Absolutely, and nothing, you know, I've bigged up Michael earlier. Nothing makes me more cross than someone saying, well, look at the way Vaughan and Fletcher handled him. When you first come in and you've just come from South Africa and you're playing Notts, you're in the England side and you're playing against Shane Warne in the Ashes, you're going to jump at every word Vaughan and Fletcher says. Later on, that when the IPL becomes a distraction and you're the star of English cricket, you want out, you want to go and do something different. Kevin had some very good points in that documentary, by the way, and Kevin made captains and gave them the record, some of the knocks that Kevin played. So handling people, as I said earlier, handling people is a key part. For me personally, I remember Duncan when we took over. I'd never met Duncan Fletcher, and we met at Lord's, and he said to me, you lot aren't the best side in the world,
share,
but you should be the worst side in the world. And we were. When we lost, when I went up and got booed at the Oval against New Zealand, when we lost, we got booed and we were officially the worst test side. When you think of everything we've got, the worst test side in the world, really? So my job was to try and make us better somehow, not Australia. And everyone used to go on about, look at Australia, look at what are they doing. I used to sit in ECB, what are they doing? What are Australia? Well, they got Shane Warne, Steve Waugh, Mark Waugh, Glenn McGrath. What are New Zealand doing? What's Stephen Fleming doing there that's always making them punch above their weight? So I used to look at him in particular as an exceptional captain, Stephen Fleming. And then we went into selection. I'd sit in selection, and new captain, and I used to hear everything about what an individual couldn't do. Andy Caddick can't bowl in the first innings, he does it in the second innings. Graham Thorpe doesn't do anything else apart from get runs. He averages 42, that'll do for me, he gets runs. Phil Tufnell is a bad tourist. Well, you've toured with Phil Tufnell. He's a blooming good tourist when we're losing.
Hi everyone, if you like this video, please like and comment and do subscribe to the channel.
So we used to try and look at what do people do for me actually bring to the team. And there were some non-negotiables for me. The three people that were non-negotiables were Michael Atherton, Alex Stewart, and Darren Gough and Graham Thorpe. They were my core of that team, because everyone when Vaughan and Trescothick come in, they look at Stewart and they look at you, how they're going about it. You know, Gough set the right tone in everything he did. You're talking about someone who would do well under pressure. Darren Gough would always do that. And Graham Thorpe, they couldn't pick a better batting coach for someone when you're 20 for 3 and you're pushing them out the door 20 for 2 to face Wasim and Waqar. Thorpe was your golden nugget. So then you had to add to that the sort of change the dynamic of the team, the sort of critical mass of that team. Get some good people involved that would change us into a winning team. So even though they weren't great cricketers, the likes of Ashley Giles and Paul Collingwood, they were very good cricketers, by the way, when they first came in. You brought them in to change the dynamic of the team. That if Freddie was messing around when we're hitting at the stumps, you'd be amazed the amount of times you're throwing at a stump in the morning and people aren't exactly aiming at the stump, they're just doing it for the sake of it. And me and Duncan would have to say, come on Fred, can you aim at the stump please, we're trying to do that. And it's because it's me and Duncan, it's not now lads, coach and captain's having another go. But when one of your teammates, when Paul Collingwood goes, Freddie, any danger of hitting those stumps? Then he listens.
Duncan used to call a critical
mass of changing that team.
A critical mass of people with good qualities.
Two things happen then. When you're Paul Collingwood and you've had a go at your teammate, when it's your turn to throw at that stump, you better blooming well hit it, because you're going to get nailed by Flintoff and his mates. And you immediately get called the brown nose of the team. You're with the coach, you're always trying to get in the side. So there, you're putting yourself under pressure by doing that. And that's the one thing I'd say about this Joe Root, that hidden stuff that we don't talk about. This Joe Root side, that critical mass. Why do you think Butler survived so long? Butler is part of that critical mass, that when Butler speaks in that dressing room, you can, because he doesn't say a lot, you can bet everyone hangs on every word Butler says. Chris Woakes is a very popular member of that team. They have a core of players now, Stokes obviously, Root himself. So when they have come under pressure, they're a flawed side, but when they do come to Headingley, when they do come the other day to Old Trafford, they are a side that deliver under pressure because he's changed that critical mass.
We've got an inspection at 11:50, but so we've got a bit of time. We'll keep going. There's another couple of topics I wanted to touch on, but go on.
Just to pick up on Nasser's point about the KP interview that he did, I was captain Hampshire here and I captained KP. And obviously it didn't take very long to work out that he liked KP. You know, he liked Kevin Pietersen. So It was a matter of how do you get the best out of KP, because you knew how good he was. And I was one of his biggest supporters. When he wasn't in the England side, I said, how can England not pick this guy? This guy's a match winner. This is what they need. And I did that in 2005 before the Ashes. But I wanted him in my side. I knew he was good. So it was about the leaders getting the best out of him. And what you call the critical mass, some of the other players, like at Collingwood, that's saying something. So, hey, KP, pull your head in, mate. But you have to make him feel important. How England, I think, eventually treated him, they said, mate, you just go out and make runs. We're going to worry about what's going on. That was wrong. Kevin Peterson had to be made feel important, and that was to get the best out of him. Things like, KP, what do you think we should do today? And the captain might, I used to just walk out and say, KP, what do you reckon? Who should be 12th man? Now, I've already made the decision, but I wanted to make him feel important, that he's part of the leadership group. He's so important to the team, and I'm making him feel important. That's how you get the best out of those sort of guys. And you don't let them get away with 1 inch. If they step out of line, you're the one that nails them absolutely straight away. If you let him get away with a little bit, and we've got to, don't upset him, don't do that, then he'll take a mile. You've got to nail them straight away. These are the team rules, and you've got to make them feel important. And that's where I think England went wrong at the end.
Mikey's still in the third man's chair, I think. Mikey, you still there?
Yes, I'm still here, Arthurs.
Most international captains have been batsmen. We've seen some good all-rounders. Imran Khan, great captain of Pakistan, an all-rounder. Not too many fast bowlers. Why not?
RGD Willis, remember that?
One, but, I mean, they're few and far between, aren't they?
Yeah, that is true. You know, I go back to 1975 with the great Lance Gibbs. I'll never forget a statement that Gibbs made, and it was more in jest than anything else. But Gibbs said, you know, spin bowling is about art and craft and skill, and fast bowling is brute force and ignorance. Perhaps that's the reason why fast bowlers aren't captains too often. I captained the Jamaica team for a few years, and, you know, I had a good set of guys there with me who respected me as the captain, and we had a good team spirit. It's difficult for fast bowlers to be captain because of the physical aspect of it. Fast bowling, as you know, is hard work. I'm not going to tell you it's as hard as opening the batting mentally at us, but physically it is. And you don't really want somebody that is going through all that physical strain to be then thinking too much about tactics and about how the team is going and what the team has to do. So I have no problems with fast bowlers not being being regular captains. I just want to... Yeah, go ahead.
I just wondered whether you thought then that all those of us who are batsman captains, do we understand fast bowling well enough? Are there times when you feel a captain just doesn't understand what a fast bowler is going through? So we throw the ball to Devon Malcolm for the last over before lunch, and he looks at me, you know, and thinks, are you mad? Do you know what it takes to just warm up and bowl one over before lunch?
Yeah, I've seen that. I've watched a lot of captains on the field, and I have said to myself, and I've thought, these captains don't quite understand what fast bowling is all about. But at the same time, it's up to the captain to learn. It's up to the bowlers and the captain to get together and have their discussions. Because, you know, as everyone has said, it's all about the team and all about people learning as time goes on and understanding each other. If you don't understand the job of the people that make up your team, you'll never be a good captain. You have to understand every job within that team to be a good captain.
Nas, the media, does it matter? Does it? I was hopeless with the media, you were very good. Does it matter at the end of the day how a captain is with the media?
Absolutely, 100%. And I travel with Graham Gooch, because I was just trying to get in the England side, so I used to drive him everywhere. So I knew his battles with the media. I watched David, my childhood hero growing up, watched him that incident where he just walked off, said I had theatre tickets. And you were one of my biggest buddies growing up, so when you got the job I watched you, and you didn't at times have time for the media.
Didn't play the game.
You didn't play the game. And I realised that you cannot beat the media. So when you go into that press conference, however much that question annoys you, however much you see someone that hasn't played the game doubt what you did, question some of the things, you have to give them the answer, the time that they want, and you cannot beat them. And you have a bad day, you have to front up. Anything that they want, you have to give it to them, because it just buys you time, Ath. It just gives you, when you are with them, and it just buys you enough time that when you're going through a bad period, you'll get nailed in the end anyway, and that was probably your thinking. You're judged on your win-losses. When you start losing, they'll nail you anyway. But I also think some of the stuff that Shane talks about, two things: the spirit of the game, which we haven't spoken about, that is part of being captain, but also you're trying to promote a game. And I also, again, going to this present England regime, I am amazed at how well they do to promote the game. That last morning at where we just come from, Old Trafford, Joe Root does the media, he'll do you at the end of the game. That last morning, Joe Root came and did an interview with Ebony. And I was amazed at that. Joe had so much on his plate that last morning about trying to win a game that was close, try and get those 2 wickets, then bat, nail biter, and Joe came and gave his time. You're trying to sell and promote a game. And I think that is also part, if you are Captain Grumpy, if you are constantly taking the media on, they're not going to promote you or your team particularly well. So I do think there's a responsibility there. But I completely understand at times where you do have to bite you, and even away from the cameras. I remember the Ashley Giles, when I bowled Ashley Giles in the rough, and it was Duncan in the dressing room after that. He never did it, Duncan, ever, and I remember it to this day. He thanked all the team. We'd lost the series, but he said, I just want to mention one person, Nasser. I thought your captaincy was exceptional in this series. So I felt $1 million. We landed in Dubai, we'd had a few rum and cokes, and one of the press guys said, well, that was a disgrace to the game, you bowling, you getting Giles to bowl over the wicket in the rough to the great Tendulkar. And I nearly snapped, but I just said, you know what, leave it. You can't beat them, just go with it and give them what they need.
And these, I feel for the players of the modern era, with the social media stuff, the press, all of that they have to do. But I think the media has to take a bit of a responsibility as well, where they don't. Because we want players out there. We want to see what Stuart Broad said in that first Test match after why he wasn't dropped. He could have easily just said, "Well, you know, it's just for the best for the team."
It was a good
you know, so
good to hear a player
so we can't have then the media then go and nail players to say, "Well, they're all like robots." So you can't have it both ways to the press.
By the way, we are the media now.
Absolutely.
I know. Just, you know, we are. My
question really was about the broader responsibilities of a captain, which you touched on, in terms of
how are we
promoting the game, which have become, I think, regarded as even more important now than they ever were. Absolutely. Because every sport is fighting for eyeballs and you know, to grow its
huge
influence.
Responsibility on the players to promote the game. Huge, not easy.
Final question: how would you, as a captain, have captained your 21-year-old self? If I can recall you, you were a difficult cricketer at times growing up. You wanted to get to the top, and you made sure that you would get there, and you weren't always an easy character to be around or deal with. How would you have dealt with your 21-year-old self?
Well, that's one thing I certainly wouldn't change at all. I would never told my 21-year-old self as a captain, you need to be, you know, less stressed. I would have said, enjoy the journey a bit more. I think the feistiness made me the player I was, not a great player, made me the captain I was. But I would have tried to say to myself, and the one regret I've had, and when we hand those caps out in the huddle nowadays, it's the one thing I'd try and say, try and enjoy the journey a bit more, try and smell the flowers as you walk around, as Nicholas said, on the golf course. And I tried to do that in my last game at Lord's. I knew it was my last innings, and I ended up getting 100. I was probably enjoying it a bit too much when I turned Strauss back or whatever, but try and enjoy it and don't be so stressed about it. That's what I would have said to my younger self, but it's easier to say now. When you're in it, it is a stressful job.
And a letter to your 21-year-old self, as Shane Warne, the captain, to the 21-year-old bowler?
I think I look back and I was very, very grateful to play in such a wonderful era of Australian cricket. I was lucky enough to play with so many greats of the game. Now, that word's used a bit too much, but they were legitimate greats of the game. I think the only advice I would have given myself or listened to was, before midnight is cricket time and after midnight is not your time. So whatever it's worth doing, do it before midnight. I think I would have stuck at that.
Mikey is still there. Great wise man, the elder statesman of our commentary box. Now, there's some final thoughts on this, a topic that is difficult to nail down sometimes, because it's so hard to know what the influence of a captain really is and how easy it is to judge a captain's influence on a player and a team.
Just have two comments to make, on some points that were made earlier on. One that Warne made about the captain being a part of the team, making sure that everybody enjoys themselves, making sure that it's fun, but at the same time making sure that people respect you. And I can give an example of Clive Lloyd. Clive Lloyd, we used to have a curfew. Everybody's, or not everyone, but a lot of people say curfews don't work and you should never have curfews and that sort of a thing. But Lloyd instituted, or instigated rather, having curfews when we were on tour. And I remember us all being at a discotheque one night, and the curfew was 11:30. And Lloyd was there, Big Bird, myself, lots of us were there. But we didn't go there together. And when it was approaching 11:30 and we saw Lloydie in the other side, we all left. We say even if he breaks the curfew, that's his business. But we had respect for him to leave and go back to the hotel. That's one thing that we all understood. Lloydie was bosom buddy, great pals, everybody enjoying himself, but you still have respect for what he wants done. The other point I wanted to make was when Warnie was talking about KP and saying, you know, he's special, you have got to make him feel special, and although he might be different, but you then have to make sure he doesn't take a mile when you give him an inch. What happens when that person is the captain?
Oh, you're throwing that back. I thought you were going to answer that,
yes.
Mike.
When that person's the captain, what do you do?
Well, maybe that's a good place to leave it. I just wanted to leave it actually on 3 words that Imran Khan said. We've been replaying the old Imran Khan documentary that I did 4 years ago with Imran in Lahore, and he used 3 words, I think: integrity, respect, and passion. And I think those are 3 reasonable words for a captain to hang by. You want to have integrity, you want the respect of your team, but you have to be passionate about what you're doing, and you have to love it as well.
Absolutely.
Thanks for your time.
Well done.
Well, it's a broad-ranging topic, but that was brilliantly covered. Well done, lads. Fantastic stuff. Weather's not fantastic, really, here in Southampton. It's not raining. It hasn't rained for a while, and the ground staff are out trying to do their best to mop things up. All the covers are still on at the moment. Light might be the issue at some point as well. There will be an inspection at 10 to midday local time, and we'll, of course, bring you the results of that inspection in due course. But coming up next, we're going to play some mind games.
Must have scored a goal.
This is the hybrid that drives in electric up to 50% of the time, using 2 sources of power and with no plugging in. Small details for those who see a bigger picture. This is the Lexus UX self-charging hybrid.
Co-op is on Deliveroo. Get your everyday essentials delivered from your local store straight to your door.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. If you like this video, please share and comment. And of course, subscribe to.
Life seems to be changing all the time right now, and you might feel good about being out and about again.
Or maybe you still feel safer being at home.
Or maybe you feel it's time to buy a new one.
Right now, it's about being wherever you feel comfortable.
And wherever that is, we're here to help. Online, on our app, over the phone, or in branch.
If you look up green flag in the dictionary, it says vehicle breakdown experts. And as vehicle breakdown experts, we've expertly created our Rescue Me app. So you can track us as we come to your rescue. And luckily for Gustav, we can pinpoint your precise location, which is tremendous. Luckier still, we'll chop your AA or RSE renewal quote in half. Go on, make it rain.
Please
Green
like,
flag,
comment,
common
share, and
sense
don't
to the
forget
rescue.
to subscribe.
What is Simon up to?
Oi, looking sturdy, bro.
Okay, guys, ready to sweat? Let's go.
Hey Google, video call Michael.
I'm in the house. Hello.
He has produced some thrilling drives. It is Lewis Hamilton.
Hi everyone, if you like this video, please like and comment and do subscribe to the channel.
Posted online. It's lovely.
For my whole life, I didn't know if I even really existed, but I do.
The widest range of TV in Ultra HD. All in one place. Easy. Sky Q.
Got the eggs, just need sausages.
Our brains weren't built for high performance, they're built for safety.
You can't show where your heart is and where your mind is.
The hardest thing is to say that something's wrong, and that's what I struggle with.
I was so nervous that I couldn't think clearly.
What on earth went through Ram Prakash's head then?
Call it what you like, it's verbal intimidation.
I will love it if we beat them. Love it.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. If you like this video, please share and comment. And of course, subscribe too.
5 shots ahead he was.
You can stay controlled, stay disciplined. It's lethal.
Yes! David Beckham has done it big time!
If you prepare technically, why not prepare mentally?
It's the holy grail for any sportsman, the quest for mental toughness. Over the last 6 months, I've been investigating through the prism of cricket what it means to be mentally tough and asking, do you just have it or can it be learnt? I've learnt about the techniques and the routines that today's players use to prepare themselves for the mental challenges that the modern game presents. I've talked to other athletes about the challenges that their sports throw up. And I've been given a glimpse into the future and shown how cutting-edge research will help the next generation of England cricketers. Welcome to Mind Game.
Please like, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe.
It's just before 11 o'clock in the morning. England's openers are on their way to the middle at the start of a test match day. They've already been at the ground for the best part of 2 hours, going through a variety of warm-up routines, stretches, football, fielding, and then the specific skills for the individual players. And out in the middle there's been the occasional lone figure seemingly lost in deep thought. And this is the only evidence of perhaps the most important preparation that all the players will have been doing for days beforehand. Getting ready for the mental challenges that the day ahead will throw up. Challenges that will not just come from bat or ball.
It's coping with the external stuff as much as it is playing in the game. Of course, the intensity level of the game rises. You're playing against some of the best bowlers to have played the game, or best batters to have played the game. You've got to be able to step up and understand that and cope with that.
Hi everyone, if you like this video, please like and comment and do subscribe to the channel.
30, 40, 90,000 people we sometimes see watching the game, because when it gets on top of you, that's when you really struggle to try and get out with it.
Preparing for those challenges in the days before a match is maybe inevitably a lonely and very personal business.
The night before, I will write stuff down, and I always do it in bed, and I always do it as the last thing I do that night, because this is going to sound very weird, but it's the only place you're really safe, like in a test match week, is that night. Before anything's happened, you're not influenced by anything, and I write what I feel down. I write how I want to play, and then in the morning I'll read that paper again, when the nerves are there. And then I put the paper away and then just go and play and see what happens.
The day before, I'd got 207 at Edgbaston against Australia. The day before, the night before, I went to my hotel room, the Swallow Hotel, Birmingham, ordered a chicken tikka masala.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. If you like this video, please share and comment. And of course, subscribe too.
Had footage of a McGrath and Warren running into bowl.
I always carried a video. This was after '94 when I scored those twin hundreds in Barbados. I carried that video around in my bag, so that if I was going through a bad time, I'd put that on, watch it. One is a little bit of, actually, you're not as bad a player as perhaps you think you are at the moment, because this is what you're capable of doing.
And there it is! Alex Stewart has become the first Englishman to score a century in each innings of a test match against the West Indies.
It's a bit of kidology, you might call it psychology or whatever, but I was always trying to tell myself, I'm a good player.
Towards the back end of my career, I took that further forward and started doing
a bit of mindfulness and meditation, and I think that really helped. And if I had my time again, I would have done more of that earlier in the piece, because that whole practice is about calming your mind down.
Please like,
and
comment,
present,
share, and
don't
forget to subscribe.
Out in the middle.
Another key weapon in the batsman's armoury as he gets ready for the day ahead are the visualisation routines that were spotted being done earlier in the morning.
Visualisation's a critical skill. We need to feel like we're at home at the crease. So this is about going out before anyone arrives and being comfortable. This is my office for the day. These white lines are my territory, and I'm going to own this space, and I need to feel really comfortable in it.
I believe visualization is massively important in preparation mentally. So you'll go out to the middle of the oval and you'll stand there and you'll try and visualize Wasim Akram, Waqar Younis running in at you, the ball's reverse swinging, you've got the slip cordon going at you, you're 40 for 3, it suddenly started reversing, and you're visualizing what you're going to do, what it feels like, the pressure you're under, so that come 3 o'clock that day, when it actually happens to you.
Hi everyone, if you like this video, please like and comment and do subscribe to the channel.
As opposed to, wow, this is a bit of a surprise and a shock, and I'm not prepared for this. You prepare technically, why not prepare mentally?
I do it just so I can kind of familiarise myself with kind of the ground. So just have a look round to make sure there's nothing that's untoward for me. Then I'll just go through, I'll imagine if, say, Dale Steyn's bowling the first ball to me, what would I be thinking? You know, obviously open myself up a little bit, he's going to might bowl in the swing, don't get LBW, you know, that kind of thing. You know, and then I'll go the other end, imagine it was Philander bowling, that, and just do a couple of balls. And I don't know whether that's just to, that's not for me to see the moment for, that's just so I kind of feel comfortable out the middle. So not when I get there at 11 o'clock on day one, you know, I don't think, well, this is a bit strange. I've already kind of done that.
Eventually, the personal preparation is over, and ready or not, it's time to take the walk to the middle.
When I walk out to bat, I'll always do the same.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. If you like this video, please share and comment, and of course, subscribe to.
Gets my head out of the dressing room and starting to concentrate on, you know, what's right there in front of me.
You get down into the long room, in particular on Ashes days, is absolutely jam-packed, and you know it's going to be busy, you know it's going to be loud. Your hairs on the back of your neck stand up, you get those goosebumps that you love and the feel about what is about to happen.
Those moments when the batsman first appears from the pavilion are in fact critical. The persona he projects through his body language can set the whole tone for what's going to follow.
Body language is sort of a window into your mind, and you can tell how people are thinking based on their body language a lot of the time.
It is just like a boxer who goes into the ring, he feels that he owns that ring. And regardless of the respect that you may have for the individuals, you know, who are your opponents, it is so important that you send the right message in terms of your body language itself.
He owned the ground when he walked out to bat.
Please like, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe.
You believe you're in charge, and the opposition believe you're in charge.
Well, despite the outward appearances, what's actually going on inside the body? The answer is to be found way back in the mists of time.
Our brains weren't built for high performance, they were actually built for safety. We were cavemen that were going about our business day to day, and then we'd have these, very occasional hopefully, spikes of adrenaline and cortisol that would get us into this fight and flight response to evade the saber-toothed tiger. But the threat to our life has gone, and the threat to our self-esteem and our professional reputation has remained. So we have exactly the same fight and flight response to a very, very different context. So the player starts to feel the butterflies in their stomach as the blood leaves their digestive system and tries to get fuel into their major muscles for locomotion and to run as fast as we can. We get sweaty palms as the blood leaves our hands.
Hi everyone, if you like this video, please like and comment and do subscribe to the channel.
We get that narrowing of our vision as we get that sort of anxiety response, because there would only have been one saber-toothed tiger, and then our heart rate ramps up, and that sort of cycle that goes from high heart rate, I feel a bit anxious, I feel a bit tense, that triggers the thinking to say, how fast this guy going to be, what happens if I get out first ball in front of this crowd. That starts sending a spiral back to the body to say, get ready for the fight and flight response. The saber-toothed tiger's there, and actually it isn't. It's a fast bowler grunting and snorting at the end of his run-up.
The ability to control those feelings is of course one of the main challenges facing any sportsman. And control, by the way, is the key word there. Because however long you play, nerves never seem to go away.
I get nervous every time I bat, which I think is a good thing. And I had
and expectations got higher and the team really needed me to perform, then I became more nervous. And ironically, you know, I think most people think that the more you play, the easier it gets. My experience was the exact opposite. The more I played, the harder it was and the more nervous I became.
Embracing the pressure is important. It's feeding off energy. You know, if it's the final round of a US Open or the first tee in the Ryder Cup, you can't shut that out. There's no way. You got to just embrace it and go, okay, this is what I was born for, and enjoy it.
There was a half-hour period in the build-up to the World Cup final in that week where I thought, I hope I pull my hamstring. I don't want to cock this up for the lads. I'm the weak one here. And I often wonder,
please like, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe.
But it's not just a fear of failing to perform. Deep down can be an apprehension of being hurt. In football, it might come from a rash tackle. In cricket, there's the very definite threat that fast bowling presents. While in boxing, well, it's just part of life.
That's it there. That guy on the other side is coming to knock me out. That is it. There's no other thought process than to go to combat with this guy. Do you know where I'm coming from? So that you hit the nail on the head. How do you get your head around the fact that this guy is coming to beat you up and knock you out and take everything you work for? Those three things are exactly what gears you up to fight.
Back at the Test match, the key for the batsman is to settle into his own world as quickly as possible. Ahead of him, if everything goes well, lies potentially 6 hours of batting. And it's this extended time which makes cricket the unique sport.
Hi everyone, if you like this video, please like and comment and do subscribe to the channel.
That includes a mid-match break. For a cricketer, that's just lunch.
It's only really golf that would match up to the volume of mentally, you know, of what they've got to try and do as a player. You see players who they might get a big score and end up being on the pitch for almost the 4 or 5 days. That's not something that happens a great deal in any other sport.
Time's my enemy because I do get so anxious and just want to get on with it and hit the next shot. Probably for the first 20 years of my career, I'd be bashing clubs on the ground and moaning at myself and talking all the way up to the next shot. Now I've learned that it's gone. There's nothing you can do about it. If you could impart any information to a younger sports person, let it go.
The South is the big challenge in elite level sport, and it's not an easy challenge. If it was, we'd all be doing it. One of the things that you can do is you can develop psychological routines and processes that you go through.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. If you like this video, please share and comment. And of course, subscribe to.
So in a sport like tennis, for example, using your body to turn away from the court, walking back, bouncing the ball a certain number of times. And what you're trying to do there, essentially, is just wipe your mind clean.
And for cricket, the equivalent of Andy Murray bouncing a ball before service is a trigger routine.
Each ball was an occasion, so I had to build up to that occasion, face the ball, whether I hit it for 4, missed it, let it go or whatever. Then I'd walk away, twiddle my bat, kick a bit of dirt away that probably wasn't there in the corner of the crease, then come back and get ready again in exactly the same way. So that worked for me.
There is, of course, another factor to be taken into consideration, because it's not just a case of the batsman having a routine to switch his concentration levels off and on. All around him are the opposition fielders. Their one aim is to make you feel as uncomfortable as possible and to try and stop you thinking about the job of batting.
Please like,
when
comment,
Steve Waugh
share,
was
and
captain
don't
of
forget to
Australia,
subscribe.
it was called mental disintegration.
Put the cheese in the trap, in walks the mouse, and off goes his head.
I don't really even know what that was. I just know as a captain, I wanted to disorientate the opposition by putting constant pressure on them. That was our plan, to make them feel as if they didn't know what they were doing. They were constantly bombarded with good cricket. So that was my idea of mental disintegration, was constant bombardment with the way you played the game with pressure.
Steve not only wanted us to win from ball one, he wanted us to crush the opposition from ball one and be absolutely ruthless and give them nothing. So I think that's where you know, that came into even more so. You know, Stephen didn't like the word sledging. He liked to call it gamesmanship or mental disintegration.
Call it what you like, sledging, chirping, trash talking. As long as I've been involved with the Australian cricket team, it's verbal intimidation. It's about making your...
Hi everyone, if you like this video, please like and comment and do subscribe to the channel.
Possibly be.
It's a competitive environment. You know, if you've got someone like Maradona playing against you or Zidane, you know, you're not just going to let them play, you're going to try to upset, you know, you're going to, whether that's physically with tackles or getting amongst them, or even psychologically by, you know, who did you sleep with last night? You know, I was talking to your wife last night, you know, this kind of banter and stuff.
In boxing, the pre-fight slanging match and unblinking staring routine seems to be almost obligatory. But what effect does it really have?
Always different. One of them is like, wow, this guy's taking this a bit serious. It's only a stare-off. Do you know what I mean? Like, this isn't going to win you the fight. So, you know, then it's like 3 minutes have passed and you're still here. It's like, so, like, what do we do now?
And the answer to that is
Assalamu alaikum everyone. If you like this video, please share and comment. And of course, subscribe to
former England keeper Jack Russell. He took the business of trying to unsettle his opponents to an entirely different level.
Jack used to go through lens. He would say to me, I'm not going to brush my teeth today. I'm going to make sure my breath is as bad as it can be. And when he stood up to the stumps, he would make sure he filled the batting crease with his odour, if you like. And that's the lens he went to.
Russell was, of course, the wicketkeeper in the highly successful Gloucestershire one-day side that dominated in the late 1990s. Under his guidance, they perfected the art of unsettling opposition batsmen when they were bowling.
Well, I can't believe I've seen that. He smashed his helmet.
We used to call it Space Invaders. Basically, that was the title for it. Let's do some Space Invaders. What we wanted to do was make sure that
Please like, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe.
Isolated, not from his partner, but also the ground he was walking on wasn't his. He had no right to be there. He didn't want to be there. You know, okay, some batsmen in the end actually worked out that they actually didn't know which end of the bat to hold. You know, we would get so far through to them, but it was just to let them know that it wasn't so much me as the team we're going to strangle and squeeze them.
The mental pressures that a one-day or 2020 game can bring for a batsman are, of course, plain for all to see as a run chase reaches fever pitch. For the very best, though, there's almost a comfort in the stark clarity of the situation.
I love that feeling of, I know, right, we need 100 off 18 overs. I know what I need to go and do. We're setting a target. I've got 20 overs to bat. I always look at the scoreboard and it's very obvious of what you need to do, whereas I think sometimes with red ball cricket, it's such a blank canvas.
Hi everyone, if you like this video, please like and comment and do subscribe to the channel.
Stand still, and you have to be good enough to be able to take it forward. I think that's the beauty of one-day cricket or T20 cricket. Whereas a test match, you would have an age to make a decision, and committing to one of however many you had in your head at the time, I found difficult.
And so, on the perfect day, it happens. All your training and mental preparation has gone entirely according to plan, and you're in the best possible condition to enter sporting heaven.
How many books have been written about the zone?
It's where time begins to slow down, the ball itself appears bigger, and everything basically becomes a lot easier.
I had that feeling probably about 5 times in my career where you just felt you're invincible. It was like being in the Matrix where they were shooting at you and you were just dodging bullets and you could just, the ball felt
Assalamu alaikum everyone. If you like this video, please share and comment. And of course, subscribe to...
so clearly, and it was like, what am I going to do? Where shall I hit this?
It's a very hard thing to consciously get yourself into. It's often related to your confidence levels, how well you're playing, the match situation. Amazing thing to go through, just very hard to replicate.
It's a fantastic place. I've never described the zone. I think maybe when it's just, for me, when everything just clicks, with everything, with my timing of my trigger is perfect. Because I've got quite a few moving parts of my technique, that is, you know, they're all moving as well as they can do in sync, and I've kind of got the measure of the bowlers and the conditions, and I'm at ease. Do you know what I mean? Like you're not battling anything. You're kind of just watching the runs go up.
I think there's one innings which stands out for me as a